Welcome to Aquarium Dog. Subscribe, like, and comment. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, back here another video about fish, and that's it.
Alright guys, so Todd's gonna take us around the room. Let's see what he has here.
We'll go around with some food. We'll feed everything. I'll tell you what we have as we go. And then I'll put the food away and we'll come back and talk about the filtration. I'll grab a sip of coffee on the way. I always have my students know, I'm never without my coffee. What I have here, this is some thawed out frozen Cyclops copepods that I feed to some of the small things. It's a nice transitional food. Filter feeders, eat it. Some of my small-mouthed fish. And this one is a combination of, there's a little bit of saltwater mysis in there, but mostly it's a combination of 3 different foods from LRS. It's Larry's Reef Service. It's called Fertility Frenzies, the main one. It's specially formulated for producing good eggs and sperm in your fish. Another one is Fish Frenzy, just a nice, well-rounded mix of different seafood for mostly carnivores. And then he's got some roe. It's herring roe, so the eggs, it's ripe eggs from a marine fish that are really good to feed fish that you want to produce good eggs. So I'm gonna give us a little combination. These guys are masked angelfish. This is Genacanthus personatus. They were babies raised by Karen Britton in Hawaii, first ones ever raised. This is a fish that retails for about $20,000. I mean, they are our brood stock, but hopefully they'll be to the point of spawning within a few months. Down here, we have Centropagi interruptus, the interruptus angel from Japan. And these guys, I think they go for about between $600 and $1,000. And actually the only reason we have them is because we were buying the Gramma Dejongi we got through Koji at Blue Harbor in Japan. And we were just getting these 6 small fish and we needed to fill out the box. So he put in some of these interruptus angels, and this pair over here, and with the skimmer, just started spawning for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And I put an egg collector on their tank each night and I'm collecting their eggs. The spawns are still very small. They're only about half grown, but they're sexually mature and they're starting to produce eggs. And I'm very excited. This is one species of fish I've wanted to raise my whole life. It's only been raised once before by Frank Bench in Hawaii, and it's only been raised using natural Hawaiian seawater and wild collected natural plankton in Hawaii. So it's never really been done in a closed setting with synthetic sea salt and cultured foods, and I'm hoping to do that here for the first time.
So what is this thing in the middle here? Just so people don't know.
So, all right, the reason I have this tank here with a protein skimmer in it is because this system was built by my predecessor, and you can see this is put together by someone that maybe hasn't built a lot of systems before. The sump is down here and it's completely inaccessible. That's a useless sump. All it does is collect water to get taken up and redistributed to the tanks. A sump needs to be accessible and needs to have filtration components in it. So as I start to collect funding to tackle this project and rebuild this system, I want to try and make things better in here in the meantime. So We devoted this tank in the middle here as just a place to put a protein skimmer. And I just ended up with more fish than I had space for. So we ended up with a pair of these very expensive angelfish in the tank with the protein skimmer for lack of anywhere else to put them. But by next fall, this should be a brand new system with a nice accessible sump and brand new tanks, and things will look a lot better. So it looks a little amateurish here. These tanks were built 20 years ago. These systems were built 20 years ago. When I first came in, that was a freshwater system. It had 2 tinfoil barbs, an iridescent shark, a bullhead catfish, and an Oscar. That was all it had. This system was saltwater, and it had a couple of horseshoe crabs and a couple of snails and some local killifish. The first thing I did was find homes for all the freshwater fish, converted that to saltwater, and I just started, I didn't have time or money to really overhaul these systems. I just started adding things. I started putting in coral frags. I started putting in whatever fish, fish that I caught locally. That wrasse there, slippery dick, I caught this in Shinnecock Bay. That surgeonfish, the ocean surgeonfish up there, also caught that on one of my field trips with my students. The only original animal in the whole room is the snowflake moray. He came with the room. And I always want to find a home for him because I could use this tank for other things, but the students just love this eel. He's been here forever. I just can't bring myself to get rid of him. So he stays. He's kind of our class mascot. This is a local seahorse, Hippocampus erectus. We caught him on one of our field trips. Here he is. Watch him snap up some of this LRS fish frenzy here. How about that? A frozen, chopped up food and a seahorse eating it. How do you like that, Larry? Larry makes this food. It's great stuff. Yeah, so when I started here, and my whole budget for the year, for the entire year, is $3,000. That's to get all the supplies I need to run my labs, keep microscopes updated, keep, anything I need to buy for any of my classes came from that $3,000 budget. My first year, I spent the entire $3,000 on salt just to keep up with the water changes in here. And so that's been difficult, especially once I started getting some of these really nice fish in. So the donor who deposited some of these very expensive fish in here, he's been good at supplying a lot of the salt, but now we get all of our salt from ESV. Bob Stark from here on Long Island owns a company called ESV, and they make products like B Ionic, aquarium supplements, and they have their own brand of salt that is very good. It comes in a multi-part mixture. You can buy just the trace elements and minor constituents, and then source your own sodium chloride and magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate is Epsom salts, so you can buy those in bulk and just buy the minor components and mix them and save a ton of money, or you can get the sodium chloride and magnesium sulfate from Bob too. But it mixes up so clear and clean. When I mix up a batch of one of the more expensive brands of salts, I look down into the 150-gallon tub and the water is colored brown and there's a film at the surface, and ESV salt mixes up so nice and clear. I really feel great about using it here, and obviously it works well because we've raised some very difficult larvae using only ESV salt water.
These are the
young flathead perch. So these guys were born or hatched out the end of July. The first ones have just made it out into the trade. Here are their parents, the brood stock. Up in here, they're pretty reclusive, but you'll probably see one pop out when I drop a little food in. Here they come. Don't get too close, she won't come out. She'll look around. There she goes. That's a $5,000 fish.